The opening scene is set in New York City on New Year's Day. A little girl named Emily, aged 9, is happily playing in the park with her mother and father. Her father, David, is a psychologist and the protagonist of the story. The three of them are spending time together happily. Later that night, Emily hides under the covers to play hide and seek with her mother. After putting Emily to bed and saying goodnight, her mother leaves the bedroom door slightly open, as Emily seems to be afraid of the dark. Noticing his wife's dull demeanor, the hero asks if they should talk about something. She mentions that certain issues have resurfaced during therapy and goes to the bathroom. Sitting in the bathtub, she appears to be deep in thought, but it's unclear about what. After a while, the hero is shown sleeping, dreaming of some sort of party. He wakes up to find his wife missing and searches for her, only to discover her in the bathtub, submerged in a pool of blood. It's unclear why or how she died. Shocked, the hero cradles his wife's body and cries. Emily watches this from the bathroom door, her eyes filled with tears. In the next scene, Emily is at the New York Children's Hospital, staring blankly out the window. The hero discusses Emily's condition with a female psychiatrist, who is also a family friend and has learned a lot about psychology from him. Her name is Dr. Catherine. Emily seems to be mentally disturbed after witnessing her mother in the bathtub. Concerned, the hero worries about her, but the doctor reassures him that everything will be fine. The hero believes that a new environment might help Emily return to normal, so he decides to move to a different place to take better care of her. The doctor, who has a lot of affection for Emily, sends both the hero and Emily on their way. In the following scene, the hero and Emily arrive at their new house, where a housebroker and the local sheriff are present. The house is surrounded by woods, and the broker mentions that it's a peaceful area. During their conversation, Emily goes missing. The hero searches for her and finds her wandering alone, looking at the trees. He brings her back into the house. That night, the hero prepares dinner, but Emily doesn't eat. He tries to encourage her to eat by showing her a game, but she says she wants to go to her bedroom and leaves. Emily doesn't seem excited about the new place. After finishing his meal, the hero goes to Emily's room to say goodnight, but she isn't there. Thinking she's playing hide and seek as usual, he looks under the bed but doesn't find her. He then opens the cupboard, and a kitten jumps out and runs away. Emily then emerges from the bathroom. The hero feels sad that his daughter isn't as happy as she used to be. Emily hugs her doll and gets ready to sleep. The hero gives her a diary and suggests she start writing from today. Emily hasn't yet come out of the trauma of the recent tragedy, but the hero believes she will gradually get better. The next morning, the hero is unpacking their belongings, while Emily starts walking alone into the woods. She follows a butterfly and discovers a cave, peering into it. The scene cuts to the hero realizing Emily is missing. As he searches, Emily returns home. Suggesting they visit the town, the hero and Emily set out, but are stopped by a neighboring lady. The hero remarks that the surrounding houses seem uninhabited, to which the neighbor responds that it's usually this quiet. She introduces herself, having come over to meet the new arrivals. She also greets Emily, who remains silent and observant. In the following scene, while refueling the car, the hero notices a lady and a young girl. Introducing himself, he learns the lady's name is Elizabeth, and the young girl is her niece, Amy, who appears to be around Emily's age. Observing Amy's playful demeanor from the car, Emily watches quietly. Later that night, as the hero prepares Emily for bed, she mentions having made a new friend. Assuming she's referring to a doll, the hero inquires further, but Emily clarifies that it's not a doll, her friend's name is Charlie. Curious, the hero asks when and where she met Charlie, to which Emily responds that it was earlier that day. When the hero asks if her friend is present now, Emily replies that Charlie is sleeping. The hero leaves, pondering Emily's creation of an imaginary friend, and discusses it with the doctor. The doctor explains that it's common for individuals processing trauma to behave this way and assures him that Emily will improve over time. Although the hero, being a psychologist himself, understands this, he struggles with his daughter's withdrawal. Later, while taking out the trash, he notices that Emily has discarded her doll, possibly due to her new friend, Charlie, whose identity remains unknown to both the hero and us. In the subsequent scene, the hero and Emily go fishing at a lake. Emily catches an insect and uses it as bait on the fishing hook. The hero finds it peculiar that, despite having store-bought bait, Emily chooses to use a live insect. That night, during dinner, the hero brings up Charlie in conversation. Emily expresses that being with Charlie feels as joyful as being with her mother. Realizing that Emily's imagination is becoming more vivid, the hero becomes concerned. After putting Emily to bed, he attempts to open the window in her room but finds it stuck. Later, the hero experiences a recurring nightmare of a New Year's Eve party and awakens feeling as if his late wife's hand is touching him. Noticing a light in the bathroom, he investigates and finds candles lit around the bathtub, with the words, "You let her die," written on the wall. Turning around, he sees Emily standing there. When he questions her about the setup, Emily denies involvement. The hero, suspecting her handwriting matches the message, accuses her of lying, but Emily firmly insists she didn't do it. When he asks who did, Emily attributes it to Charlie. The hero begins to think that Emily blames him for her mother's death and is expressing it through these actions. He discusses this with the doctor, who suggests that Emily's creation of Charlie might be a way to cope with her feelings. The hero believes that introducing Emily to a real friend could help and decides to invite Elizabeth and her niece, Amy, over. He introduces Emily to Amy, hoping they'll bond. Sharing his wife's death with Elizabeth, she empathizes with Emily's pain. Amy tries to engage with Emily in her room, but Emily remains unresponsive. Emily damages Amy's doll's face and tells her she shouldn't have come, causing Amy to leave upset. After Elizabeth and Amy depart, Emily tells the hero that she doesn't want any more friends. In the next scene, while the protagonist is in the kitchen, he notices a knife not properly placed in the knife stand. Wondering if someone tried to use it, he adjusts it correctly. Looking out the window, he sees Emily playing outside with a middle-aged man nearby. Curious about this stranger, he approaches and learns that it's the neighbor lady's husband, who had come over just to say hi. The man comments on how cute Emily is. The protagonist, after a brief greeting, takes Emily inside and advises her not to talk to strangers. Emily responds that he's not a stranger but their neighbor. In the following scene, the protagonist places a kettle on the stove. Shortly after, as the water boils and the kettle whistles, he turns off the stove and goes to Emily's room. He finds Emily smiling at something unseen and asks if Charlie is there. Emily replies that he just left. When asked where he went, Emily looks out the now open window. Surprised, the protagonist asks if she opened it, noting that it was stuck the previous day. Emily suggests that perhaps he had opened it. Concerned, he checks outside the window to see if anyone had entered that way but finds no one. For safety, he closes and locks the window. He then encourages Emily to talk to Charlie, hoping to understand her imaginary friend better. However, Emily remains unresponsive to his questions about Charlie. The protagonist documents Emily's behavior and the changes he's observed since their move in his diary. Meanwhile, Emily plays hide-and-seek with her imaginary friend, searching each room until she discovers the basement door. Calling out for Charlie, she descends into the basement. Suddenly, the lights go out, and Emily screams in fear. Hearing her, the protagonist grabs a flashlight and rushes to the basement, finding Emily scared. She tells him that Charlie was hiding in the dark. Just then, a noise indicates the generator restarting, and the lights come back on. Realizing it was a generator fault that caused the blackout, he takes Emily back to bed. In the next scene, the neighbor lady visits the protagonist's house. She mentions that her husband had spoken with Emily the previous day and that the protagonist might have misunderstood his intentions when he took Emily inside. She shares that the daughter recently passed away and that seeing Emily reminds her of their loss. The protagonist empathizes with her grief. Later that night, Elizabeth comes over for dinner. The three of them, Elizabeth, the protagonist, and Emily, have dinner together. During the meal, Emily asks Elizabeth if she knows how her mother died. The protagonist tries to steer the conversation away, but Emily reveals that her mother committed suicide by slitting her wrists in the bathtub. Emily warns Elizabeth to be careful to avoid a similar fate. Elizabeth, unsure how to respond, offers Emily some books she brought for her, but Emily drops them on the floor. The protagonist scolds Emily for her behavior. Emily comments that Charlie doesn't like the growing closeness between the protagonist and Elizabeth, then leaves the room. Elizabeth, puzzled, asks who Charlie is, and the protagonist explains that he's Emily's imaginary friend. He confides in Elizabeth about his hopes for Emily to have a better childhood than he did, but acknowledges that things haven't turned out as he wished. After some time, Elizabeth leaves. Later that night, the protagonist dreams of the New Year's Eve party again. In the dream, someone opens the bathroom door, but it's unclear who. He wakes up with a start and notices light coming from the bathroom. Investigating, he finds candles lit and the words, "Look what you have done," written on the wall. The bathtub is filled with water, and upon draining it, he discovers a dead kitten inside. Shocked, he rushes to Emily's room, finding her awake. She claims that Charlie did it. Unsure of what to say, he hears a noise outside. Opening the door, he sees the housebroker near the entrance, who hands him a set of keys, explaining that they belong to all the rooms in the house and that he had forgotten to give them earlier. The broker mentions that he didn't want to disturb them and had planned to leave the keys at the door. The protagonist questions the timing of this visit, but the broker explains that he and his wife are leaving for Canada in the morning and didn't want to forget. After the broker leaves, the protagonist takes the dead kitten and buries it in the woods. The next morning, the hero discusses Charlie with Emily, asserting that he is merely imaginary. Emily refuses to accept this, expressing concern that Charlie will become angry if spoken about in such a manner. The hero, curious about Charlie's potential reaction, suggests observing what happens if Charlie becomes upset. Emily offers to introduce Charlie and leads the hero to her room, where numerous drawings adorn the walls. One illustration depicts Emily's mother standing happily with Charlie. The hero inquires about what Charlie has said regarding her mother, to which Emily responds that her mother was happy when with Charlie. When the hero probes further about who conveyed this information to her, Emily insists that it was Charlie. Frustrated by the repeated questioning, Emily angrily shouts, "Charlie," multiple times. In the following scene, a doctor visits the hero's home. Upon seeing the doctor, Emily joyfully runs to hug her. The doctor engages Emily in a conversation about Charlie. Emily mentions that Charlie has shared information about the doctor, specifically that she will play a pivotal role in the game aimed at upsetting her father. The doctor, realizing the depth of Charlie's presence in Emily's mind, suggests that it would be beneficial to take Emily back to New York to commence treatment. The hero proposes giving it 2 weeks, and if no improvement is observed, he will personally bring Emily to the doctor. Later that night, the hero enters Emily's room but finds it empty. He notices her diary and begins to read it. Within its pages, Emily has drawn a depiction of her mother lying in a bathtub, having slit her wrists, surrounded by a pool of blood. As the hero examines this, Emily enters the room. He tucks her into bed, leaving the door slightly ajar as per the usual routine. However, Emily requests that he close the door completely, stating that she no longer needs any light. The hero is taken aback by this change in behavior. Subsequently, he observes through binoculars that the neighbor lady is arguing with her husband. This leads the hero to suspect that the neighbors might be connected to the unsettling events occurring in their own home. The next morning, the hero visits the neighboring house. Inside, he notices family photographs featuring the neighbor lady, her husband, and the daughter. The house is filled with dolls that their late daughter used to play with, indicating that the couple is still deeply mourning her loss. The hero, revealing his profession as a psychologist, offers his services, suggesting that both the neighbor lady and her husband might benefit from counseling. The neighbor lady mentions that her husband has been severely depressed and that the hero had left before he could meet him. With this, the hero takes his leave. In the next scene, Elizabeth arrives at the hero's house. The hero is in his room, listening to music through headphones and writing in a diary, so he doesn't notice Elizabeth's arrival. Consequently, Elizabeth goes to Emily's room and tries to speak to her in a friendly manner, assuring her that she won't come between Emily and her father. At this point, Emily mentions that she was playing hide and seek with Charlie. Elizabeth asks, "Really? Where is Charlie hiding?" Emily looks towards the cupboard. Elizabeth gently approaches the cupboard, calls for Charlie to come out, and opens the door. It's unclear who emerges from the cupboard, but fear is evident on Elizabeth's face. Someone pushes her, causing her to break the window glass and fall down. After some time, the hero wakes up from his nap and goes to Emily's room. He sees that Emily has drawn a picture depicting Elizabeth falling through the broken window, with Emily and another person standing near the window. Observing the broken window, the hero asks what happened. Emily remains calm. After a while, the sheriff arrives at the hero's house. He has seen Elizabeth's car crashed on the roadside but didn't find her inside, prompting him to inquire with Amy, who informs him that Elizabeth had come to the hero's house. That's why the sheriff is here now. He asks if they've seen Elizabeth, to which the hero replies they haven't. The sheriff, noting the tire marks from Elizabeth's car, suggests she might have come here and then left. The hero speculates that she might have turned back halfway. The sheriff proposes asking Emily and the hero calls her. The sheriff asks Emily if she saw Elizabeth, and Emily says no. The sheriff mentions he'll check with the neighbors and leaves. The hero then confronts Emily, asking where Elizabeth is. He then goes to the bathroom and finds Elizabeth's body in the bathtub. He demands to know what Emily did, to which she responds that Charlie did it. The hero yells at Emily to stop mentioning Charlie repeatedly, questioning who Charlie is and what's happening. Emily, without providing clear answers, starts crying. Since Emily isn't clarifying, the hero decides to hide Elizabeth's body and asks for Emily's help. He instructs her not to go anywhere, locks her in her room, and leaves. Emily screams that they can't stop Charlie. After some time, when Emily tries to open the door, someone unlocks it for her. Emily calls the doctor, expressing that she no longer wants to play with Charlie. The doctor asks where her father is, and Emily responds that he can't help. The hero, intending to dispose of Elizabeth's body, takes a large cover and goes to the bathroom, only to find the body missing. Emily mentions that Charlie just left. The hero grabs a torch and goes outside, shouting for Charlie while holding a knife, venturing into the woods. Suddenly, the neighbor's husband appears behind him. The hero asks who he is. The neighbor's husband explains he heard some noise and came to check. Noticing the hero holding a knife, he inquires about Emily's whereabouts. The hero, questioning why he's asking about Emily, attacks the neighbor's husband with the knife and then retreats into the house, locking the door. He reassures Emily that Charlie is gone and she shouldn't be afraid. Emily clings to him, crying, and accuses him of letting her see Charlie again. Then, noticing another room's door open, the hero investigates and finds many boxes inside. Opening one, he discovers headphones, and in another, a diary. Confused, he wonders if they hadn't unpacked these items yet. The film shows the hero listening to music through headphones and writing in the diary, indicating that these were his actions. A significant twist is revealed. At the beginning, when Emily saw a butterfly entering a cave, a person caught the butterfly, crushed it, and emerged from the cave. That person was the hero. It is shown that his wife didn't commit suicide by slitting her wrists in the bathtub. Instead, the hero had killed her. He had seen his wife being intimate with another man at a party before New Year's, leading him to smother her with a pillow while she slept and stage it as a suicide in the bathtub. When Elizabeth opened the cupboard, it was the hero who emerged and pushed her, resulting in her death. In summary, the character, Charlie, that Emily mentioned wasn't imaginary, it was another personality within the hero. Upon realizing her father's split personality, Emily didn't inform him because she was unaware that this alter ego had killed her mother. It was only after Charlie killed Elizabeth that Emily understood. The hero notices a wound on his hand, realizing he has this disorder. Emily approaches and asks if he understands now, calling him Daddy. The hero responds that her father is gone, indicating that he has fully transformed into his alternate personality. In the next scene, the neighbor's husband informs the police, and the sheriff arrives at the hero's house. The landline wire is cut. The sheriff goes to Emily's room, where she is drawing. He asks, "Where is your father? What are you drawing?" Emily replies that she has drawn the sheriff's impending death. Suddenly, the power goes out. In the torchlight, the sheriff searches the house for the hero. He hears the hero's voice but cannot locate him. When the sheriff restores the main power, the hero, who was hiding, strikes the sheriff with a spade, killing him. Emily witnesses the hero dragging the sheriff's body to the basement. Realizing the truth about Charlie, Emily decides she no longer needs him and wants only her father. However, the hero, now fully embodying Charlie, decides to kill Emily. He begins counting, as if playing hide and seek, while Emily, terrified, runs away. At this moment, the doctor arrives at the hero's house and is shocked to find a blood-stained spade. The hero appears behind her, but she doesn't realize he is now Charlie. He pushes her into the basement, where she sees the sheriff's lifeless body and screams in fear. The hero, treating this as part of the hide-and-seek game, starts searching the house for Emily. Emily manages to distract him and locks herself in a bedroom. As the hero tries to break down the door, Emily escapes through the window and runs into the woods. While deciding where to go, she spots the cave where she first met Charlie. Meanwhile, the doctor, having retrieved the sheriff's gun, searches for the hero, now understanding that Charlie and the hero are the same person. In the following scene, the hero enters the cave to find Emily. Inside, he discovers numerous broken dolls. The doctor arrives at the cave with the gun and demands to know Emily's whereabouts. The hero pretends to be his normal self, but when the doctor offers help, he attacks her, causing her to fall. As he begins to strangle her, Emily arrives and pleads, "Daddy." She begs him not to harm the doctor, saying, "She's my friend." The hero questions, "Am I not your friend?" Emily tearfully responds, "Please, Charlie." As the hero approaches Emily with the intent to kill, the doctor shoots him. In the climax, Emily is at the doctor's house, dressed in her school uniform and drawing. In her drawing, a little girl is happily standing beside the doctor. Shortly after, the doctor takes Emily and leaves the house. The camera focuses on Emily's drawing, revealing that the little girl has two heads, suggesting that Emily has now developed a split personality, similar to her father. The film concludes, highlighting how life's tragedies can deeply affect one's mental state, leading to such outcomes.